go live. Boom.
Oh, you can set it to
Now
just automatically do that.
we're live. Okay, well, Mr. Fancy Pants,
I don't know what to tell
Mr.
you.
Fancy Streamer Boy.
There we go.
Are we good
Bang,
now?
bang, boom.
We fucking
We're
good now?
live.
All right, so let's wait till we get some more people up in here watching, and then we'll
Jump into it.
We'll jump into it. Looks like we got 6 already.
Let's go.
Six. It's just us
What?
3 twice.
Probably.
Right.
Doesn't count me.
I do have it open twice. So
Oh, do you?
there
Yep.
we go. I closed it.
There we go.
That's so funny.
Down to 5.
Actually, I'm showing it says 4 concurrent viewers.
We'll give them a few minutes.
Yeah, we'll let them trickle in. Got a topic you want to talk about before we get into the show?
And also
You know what?
myself.
I can throw
And
it up
also myself and me. I talked about the time I delivered a baby. That's one of my favorite stories. I didn't really deliver a baby as much as I just caught a baby that was falling out of a lady.
Well, okay. Well, that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
that's
I feel
well,
like
that-
that's a story in and of itself.
Made it
that
sound
is
way more impressive than it actually was. I pulled her
You just caught a baby?
pants down, and the baby's head was in her sweatpants, and it just came out, and I caught it before it hit the ground.
Mangus. You should do an everyone in your general chat to get people in here.
Why don't you do it at everyone in my general chat?
Oh, because I don't know if I can, but I'll try.
I don't like doing at everyone's anyway.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah, it won't let me do an everyone, so you'd have to do
Me
it.
either. I'm not special enough.
Oh, hi! Oh, hi, Clorox!
And also myself.
Got a med kit. We got Oda up in here. Oda.
I was like, you got a med kit. What'd you do, Mangoose?
I actually don't have a med kit here.
Niels
Niels Eckhart. Midnight is a perfect. See, that's what I was saying, guys. We got to do these earlier so our EU crowd can.
This
can
guy,
get in
you
here.
chose the time today. What the hell?
No, and I chose it earlier than last time. So now we have our EU friends are able to watch, even if it is pretty late for them. But it's not like 2 a.m. or anything. All right, shit. You guys
I'm
ready
here
to get?
because of the notification button. Perfect.
Yay, it
Smash
worked.
that bell.
I did it. Jelly reminded me of it, and I did it like 8 minutes before the actual stream. All right, so you guys ready to get into the show?
Let's do it.
I guess,
Ready to
dude.
fucking start it up. Let me put my phone on.
If I
silent.
have to.
If you have to. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Minions, the weekly show where we talk about the Paragon remakes and Ethereal. And we've got a jam-packed show tonight. Let me pull up the document here. Holy crap! So Overprime has this new Chimera vid where they teased there was all kinds of information in there if you looked for it, including Seraph and Gadget, which we haven't seen in there before. Well, not since Netmarble acquired them. We got Ethereal, we got the full visual effects for Exial, and some of his abilities have been changed, which you guys probably wouldn't know that unless you pay really, really close attention to old Sexial. Fault finally added Iggy with like no fanfare whatsoever. It was just like,
Oh,
boom, there's Iggy. And,
at like 9 o'clock at night, no less.
I know, they brought Richter back, they added an execute mechanic, just a lot for their patch 18. And then Predecessor, they introduced Howitzer's modified kit and all of his numbers and everything. So we're going to talk about all of that tonight and more. I am your host, the one and only Mangoose. Joining me as always is my friend and co-host Jelly Knees. How you doing, Jelly?
I am fantastic, Mangoose. Happy to be here. Happy to have plenty of news to talk about. I mean, you and I used to have conversations about like, oh, dude, what are we gonna do this week? Like, there's been a drought of everything, and now every company's like, and this, and this,
Yeah.
and this.
Yeah, things are speeding up.
Absolutely. And with us again, we have the Viking Jedi. Welcome, Viking. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually sweating my ass off because my AC is not working. So and it's like 80 degrees here in Southern California. So it's warm, but there are guys here working on it. So if I mute myself, chat, that's why, because the AC guy's doing things, and I don't want you guys to have to listen to all that. But no, I'm doing great. Otherwise, really, really excited for this. There's a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff.
Tell Epi to grab a palm frond and fan you with it.
Oh, please, please, and your uniform though. You can't. You have to come in uniform.
Okay, so fuck. I don't even know where to start. We were talking about this earlier. I think we're gonna save Overprime for last because there's just so much to talk about there. Like, there's a lot to talk about with Overprime. So shit. Let's get started with Predecessor then. Let's start off with this howitzer ability rework and the numbers. So the main things that were changed were his landmine was changed a little bit. His slow grenades were changed a lot, and his ultimate was changed a little bit as well. So to talk about the differences, Make It Rain in Predecessor, what it used to do was you have controlled flight, you can guide howitzer through the sky after you fly up, and you had a reduced cooldown on your R2000 rocket, so you could basic attack and drop a bunch of rockets on people as you were flying around. What it does now, I thought it was a lock on at first, but from the description, it seems like it's just they're tracking rockets, so you do have to fire them somewhat in the vicinity of who you want to hit. But you fly up in the air and you just fire a barrage of missiles at one person. I like this much better. We'll get to the opinions after I cover this. The landmine, really not much change there, except it lobs out now, kind of like a deca bomb, but instead of just kind of appearing. And then the slow grenades, instead of 3 grenades in a line, you get what is it? How many of them? 16 proximity grenades in like in a small area, and every time you hit one of them, they explode for a little bit of damage and a slow. So, Jelly Knees, what do you think about this modified howitzer kit?
I think.
Oh, I need to switch the scene.
Oh wow, Mangoose, this guy. Conceptually, I think it's really cool, right? Just the idea of like, yeah, I get to fly up in the air and launch missiles out, or I get to shoot these missiles, or leave the field of slow grenades out there. So great, that's fine. Looking at the stats on all of this makes me think completely differently. I mean, so Make It Rain being the biggest one, having a 144% magical damage ratio is a bit insane, it seems like. And I know they told us in the past 50% doesn't mean much. This is 3 times that. And it does, I mean, already at level 3, based on these numbers, it does 680 damage already. Mm-hmm. So, oof, dude, that's going to be one hell of an ability. And I think it probably functions a lot like Revenant's Q. That it's the burst of shots that go out and then maybe spread to as many targets that are there, or however it's going to work. But that's probably similar to how it's going to function.
That'd be a great way to balance it. I like that idea.
But I mean, like I said, conceptually super, super cool. I'll be interested to see how it plays when the time comes.
Yeah. Vikey, what do you think of the new ultimate?
Well, the ultimate I like a lot. I think it looks good. Like, I like the visuals. So like, I'm not going into the same like the number crunching like Jelly was. I think from a visual standpoint, it's really, really interesting. It looks badass, which is what you want, especially when you hit the R button of all things. You want your ultimate usually, in most cases, to feel impactful and awesome. Yeah, I don't think I have any complaints for the most part. I mean, the scaling stuff is a concern, but at the same time, they talked about this last time that their scaling with items is way different than a lot of these other MOBAs. So, you know, and scaling can always be adjusted and all that fun stuff. So we'll see how that all comes through. But I do think the Make It Rain into itself, really, really, really neat ability. I think it looks really cool. I love the fact that he can jump up over, you know, the Decker walls and all that stuff too, which was neat to see. So very cool visual video. I liked it a lot.
I love that they showed that actually. Yeah, that they're like, okay, people are losing their minds about Decker wall. You know what? First ability, let's show you. You're out of it. There, no problem. Like, what's up, Bearded?
Well, I agree with Jedi here. Like, this ultimate fits the howitzer fantasy, my howitzer fantasy, more than the other one did. Because like Make It Rain was so explosive and amazing, and like it was hard to land on everybody. Like, it was hard to hit unless you popped it back in with that mine. This one will probably be a lot easier to hit, but it just looks explosive and it just looks cool, man. That's one of the problems I think a lot of people have with Twin Blast and Fault is you hit his ultimate, you don't even know that you fucking hit his ultimate because it just adds like some extra shots. Super boring. You want, like, if they were to just keep it the same but like make like big blow 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 noises and like a big flash or something to like let you know they're using an ultimate. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I felt about Howie's old ultimate. Even though you're flying around, you're still just fucking shooting rockets and shit. It's like you're just doing the same thing, but from the sky.
At a new level. Yeah.
So I really like this change that they did. You know, scaling aside, I absolutely love it. I think it fits Howitzer so much more.
What's crazy to me too is like, look how in some of these videos, like chat's like obviously a little bit behind us, but he gets so high up in some of these, and he's still able to just rain down insane amounts of damage, which I think is really cool. When we talk about like, you know, these types of third-person MOBAs playing with verticality and stuff like that, I can't think of anything more vertical right now than what Howitzer's kit is doing. He is so high up in the air. And so that's really fun to see too. Like it just, again, from a visual aspect, like obviously we'll have to see what it's like when the game actually comes out, but it looks good. It looks interesting. You know, and that's something that we make sometimes, like you were mentioning with Twin Blast with Fault, is that it doesn't always feel all that good to press your R buttons. You know, like there's some that are really dynamic and fun. But I'm happy to see that Predecessor is taking that on, because this is like the second kit that we've seen where the ultimate has a really cool impact immediately visual once you press the button, you know. So I'm excited for this continued progression, and I'm like, even the landmines look really cool. When they go off, they do like this little spark spin up thing, like they're like little. I don't know. It's kind of neat. I'm a fan of it. I think it looks cool. So I'm excited to see more. Thank you, Predecessor, for giving us more to talk about.
And Ruba just said in chat that you get a second of free flight after the rockets are already fired.
So that's cool, Ruba.
Cool
I like
so
that.
You could probably still pop off an R2000 rocket before you hit the ground.
That's what I remember in old school Paragon, using his ult, getting up in the air and like going over a wall or something. Like just doing it to just be like, oh, and bye, I'm out. Like rain hell and then leave. Like
I'm actually curious if Ruba could answer this question while we move on and talk about other stuff. But have they, in play test at all, if you're allowed to talk about it, have they played him as carry and as bot lane? Because that's something I know in Paragon days, you would occasionally see, you know, the aggressive Howitzer in the duo lane. So I'm curious if they've play tested that and if it still works as intended.
I'm sure they have, because I know I've seen RGSA play Howitzer as a carry before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've tried that shit out.
I hope so.
The slow grenades too. Like the more I think about these slow grenades, the more I like them, because it's quite the deterrent. Like you can get through it. It's not going to deal a huge amount of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you want to get to him, you're going to have to go through this entire field of slow grenades. Or if you throw it directly on top of them, they have to pick a direction. They can't. If they try and weave back and forth, they're just going to take more damage. So they have to pick a direction and go with it. And then that's the direction where you fire your R2000 rocket. Or you just pop your, that's going to be a cool combo. You throw down the grenades and then pop them back into it with your mine.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
100%.
I just thought of that. I'm sure you guys thought about it immediately, but...
Well, so I think of Ziggs from League of Legends with those, and one of the things that was really strong for those of you in chat who play League of Legends, Ziggs has so much zone control. And right now, looking at how Howitzer's played, especially if he's doing what is intended, which is mid, maybe off lane. Okay, Riba's got it. Thank you. You can create those things. Like you can create like choke points at neutrals, because again, for the exact same they want to walk through it and take, even if it's just small damage, they don't want to take any extra damage they don't have to. So it's either going to force them to go around, jump over it, do something. They have to use another ability or walk through it, get slowed, and then you can land other things. So I think just from a team fighting or strategic standpoint, that is so strong and adds in a lot of protection. I'm curious how long they last for. I don't know if it says on there. Like how long they will stay on the ground. So I'd be curious about what those numbers are, because obviously we don't want them there forever, right? They shouldn't. I mean, they should blow up after a short amount of time, but that would be cool to know what those numbers are too. But what are you giggling about?
This is the second time I've talked about Abathur in a while, but Abathur Heroes of the Storm can put mines out on the field and they just stay there. What people would do is stack like fucking 7 of them in a bush. So when somebody goes into a bush, they're just dead. I can imagine if those mines stayed there, Howitzer just laying just cluster after cluster after cluster in front of a fog wall. You come through that fog wall, just do a healthy surprise there.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I'm sure that's not how. I'm sure they will dissipate after
I would imagine
a set amount of time.
I would imagine.
Oh, that'd be crazy. Why do you think they changed his mind so that it's a lobbed thing?
The knockback mine?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they would change. I mean, maybe Ruben can offer some of his insight, but I like it personally. I like anything that's a disruption tool. I like that it's like, it's still a skill shot. You have to land it in the right place to be able to knock someone back. Honestly, he reminds me so much of Ziggs, and that's not a bad thing. Ziggs is a great character in League of Legends, so I don't mind borrowing ideas from a very successful game and a very successful character. Because it has so much skill expression in it. Being able to land that either in a team fight to create a knockback for on a carry, or use it as a disengage tool when you're being ganked. Like, there's so many cool possibilities of it, but it's still on the player to have to hit those things, and that's where it's really fun. Because otherwise, if it was point and click, it'd be too strong. But giving player skill expressions where you have a ceiling that's really high, and that's so much fun. So I really like it personally.
Motez Mel, I hope I said that right. It will be fun if he can jump with his second ability like Ziggs. As far as I know, you can use the mine to propel yourself.
Push yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
can you?
I often use it incorrectly to push myself in the wrong direction. But
Dude, that's actually
So it's
huge.
very
Being able to
Ziggs-like.
being able to jump over various parts of terrain, or gap close. Oh, that's
Yeah.
super neat.
what's really nice is if you're getting chased down by like a chimera, you throw the mine in front of you. You wait till you're on the far edge of the mine and he's on the entry edge. Then you
Right,
pop
right.
it and you both whoop like that.
Yeah.
So you get even more of a separation from that asshole in his ambush.
Yeah, I agree, Clorox. You can still jump with it. That's so sick, Ruba. Really exciting champion. Really exciting.
Yeah, he's a fun dude. Like I've said before, I used to watch this one guy, the guy that got me into Paragon, the YouTuber that I played Paragon, played the game all fucking wrong. And one of the things that he kind of instilled in me was that Howitzer was a terrible hero. He'd always talk about how Howitzer was like the worst hero in the game. So I'd always just thought Howitzer was terrible. No, the fuck, he's not. I mean, this is the same guy that would build like 6 fucking wind carver blades on steel, so...
You can jump up from buffs at river.
I learned after I started playing the game how full of shit he was, but
Yeah, Mangoose. Okay, Mangoose.
yeah.
Ruba, I'd really appreciate you being in here and chat and giving us your insights, man. Really appreciate it. That's super cool. I love that they're here.
All right. Did you guys have anything else you want to talk about with the Howitzer kit before we move along? Because I think that was about all we had for Predecessor this week.
I don't think so. No, really good job. I think it's great. Again, more stuff coming from them. I'm assuming that's because they watch our shows and we keep telling them that we want more stuff. So keep it up. But Rubo, you're obviously in chat. If there's anything else that we didn't cover you'd like us to talk about, please let us know and we'll jump back into it. I don't mind anyway. It's really fun to talk about.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Ethereal. We'll knock out Ethereal real quick, and then I think Fault and Overprime are going to probably take out take up the vast majority of the show tonight. So Ethereal released Exial's full VFX. These VFX, I think, look great. His animations don't look all that bad either, comparatively speaking to the rest of Overprime's animations. But the effects
Ethereals.
look, or Ethereal. Goddamn, what did I say? Overprime.
Yes,
My
it's
bad.
all good.
But yeah,
guy.
the effects look really good. But most of the just like particle effects for Ethereal have looked outstanding, especially like when you take the dragons and stuff like that just looks amazing in Ethereal, and it looks amazing with Exial. So Jelly, what can you explain to us about these abilities that we're seeing?
I mean, so there are some abilities that have changed. So the big ones are his passive and then his E, I believe it is, his second ability. His passive originally was that he's going to deal damage to somebody. When he deals damage a certain threshold, he gains true sight on them and can see them through walls and stuff. And that got changed for a plethora of reasons to more of a 3-hit style passive, kind of like Malaya, because they are brother and sister. There's a little bit of that kind of nature in both of them, but his is slightly different in terms of what the effects are that happen when he lands a 3rd hit. So that's to kind of bring him in line with Malaya, but also make his passive more useful a little bit. The other one was his Unrelenting Flurry, I think is what it was called. which is that he was his deflecting projectiles ability, which was just kind of problematic all around. So that got changed into what they can see on screen of that little like shade going across the ground and then going around Malaya it's a mark. So that will be a mark that then you can hit her again and consume for additional damage.
Okay.
Which is super cool.
What's up, Red Clam?
Yep.
So what's the spinny in the air thing?
That's his ultimate. That's his ultimate where he sends out shade. This is what we announced in the community corner several months ago. Sends out shade to a target. So that's that initial lunge that you see. Then he follows up onto shade and does a little like follow-up spin move on top of it, and it's super cool looking. I love it. Big fan.
A dragon punch into a hurricane kick, because that's what it looks like to me.
I mean, hey, we take it.
Yeah, but very cool.
Yeah, super fun.
Jedi, what do you got to say? Do you have any opinions about the Ethereal kit here?
I mean, so I don't have a whole lot of opinions on the kit into itself. I think it's super neat. Like, again, this is something I think we've talked about, with Ethereal a lot, is they are approaching making, especially more recently, these myths to just be fun to play. Like, they just seem like the way they're approaching making kits is with that in mind. Like, hey, how can we make this guy just match the aesthetic and lore or whatever to really come to life when you press buttons? And I think this fully encapsulates that. It looks cool. I actually have more of a comment too, because I saw some stuff after this was released and in the comment section, and it frustrated me, and this is more directed at the community, and it's because we ask the Ethereal devs and Jelly Knees by proxy to give us information about this game, and it's very much still a raw game, and it really bums me out when I see people in comments talking like that. I don't know, they're just being kind of negative, and it's coming from a place of just wanting to be negative for negativity's sake, and I just don't appreciate it. I think it's like, and I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. I mean, these guys are my friends, but I don't really give a shit which game is doing what stuff. Like, to me, it's about talking about video games and coming from a place of just being a cool consumer and all that fun stuff. So it really bothered me when I was reading some of those comments, because it's just like, dude, Ethereal's not ready to come out yet. We all know that. But we want to see where it's coming from. And the best part about it for me is it's a feedback loop. Like, hey, we're making this game for people to play it. If you see something and you have critique that's, constructive critique, that's a whole different thing. Like, we could talk about the animations not being good enough, or maybe the VFX isn't doing what you want it to do and you think that this might be better. That's fine. That's good feedback. Don't be talking just shit, though, just to talk shit. Like, that's stuff that bothers me. Especially with Ethereal. It's one thing when we talk shit about Fault, because Fault is a early access released game. It's been out for 2 years and all that fun stuff. Ethereal is very much still in the alpha, maybe borderline beta phase. You know what I mean? So the fact that we get the opportunity, because most games don't even showcase this stuff. Like, we don't get to see these things. You're not going to get alpha footage and from League of Legends on their champions. You're not going to find out about it until they're putting it into the playtest, and you might get some stuff right before they release the champion onto playtest. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's all I had to say. I'm not trying to take over too much, because I do think that Exiel in itself is really cool looking. Big fan. My favorite move, actually, other than his ult, is his little X thing that he does. I like that, where it shoots out a
stab into the double flash.
It looks cool, man. It looks like it'll be fun to play, and I'm excited for the continued development. But that's my little rant that I had saved up for this part. It just bothered me, man. So and I know it's not everybody, so it's just, this is more directed at that few people who just want to be assholes, and so fuck off.
People
I do say, go ahead. No, all you man goose.
People compare the development timeline of the Paragon remakes with Ethereal. They don't seem to realize that Ethereal had to create all of their own assets.
It's doing everything
scratch, Yeah. Of course, it's coming along a little bit slower, and of course, things aren't fucking smooth and perfect yet. But the potential, I think, is what excites people and gets people into Ethereal more than 100%. Anything else, because the potential is fucking there.
It's so cool.
I mean, I remember long before I joined the team, before Mangoose and I were even friends, I saw Mangoose's video about Ethereal, and that's the thing that clicked for me. And I was like, this game, dude, has so much potential to just go out there and do whatever they want, and it's super cool, and that's part of the reason that I ended up joining the team in the first eventually anyway. On the side of the comments thing, I read every single comment, good, bad, otherwise, whatever it is, right? I get notifications on my phone all day long, right? And I read them and I'll respond to them if I can, or if I feel like there's something I can add to this conversation. And so for those of you that like are out there that are like, keep up the good work, or like the one guy this morning that I loved, I woke up and found a comment this morning that said, keep doing what developers should do. Develop your game. Don't just push it out instantaneously and make it cheap and rushed.
Yep.
Right? Be good developers. And that was really reassuring to read, right? Like it was not good, bad, otherwise necessarily. It was just, I want you guys to be good developers. Whatever that means, just be it. And I think that's super, super cool. And what we're trying to do with Ethereal, partly to separate some from these Paragon successor projects, is show more of this work in progress stuff, right? So like Exial's VFX, they are mostly there, but they are not 100% finalized yet either, right? We want to show concept arts. Like we've got the Grognard concept art to show as well. We want to show that more work in progress stuff as it's being made instead of just finalized products, because we want people to be in there with the journey with us and get that constructive feedback along the way as well.
Motez Mel has a question for you there, Jelly.
Is it too OP, or were there other reasons? There are a bunch of reasons I don't have the authority to get into at the moment, unfortunately. But maybe once we do a more full announcement for XCL, we'll talk about that a little bit more. The other thing I do want to point out actually about this video that you guys are seeing is you can see the quality difference between the old map and the new map.
Oh yeah.
In this video footage. When he's running around on Leah, that is our old map that is now retired. But the video footage of XCL's VFX is on the new map, and you see butterflies in the background and the camps and all of that kind of stuff. And dude, I can't hype up this new map enough and how cool it is.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And the other
Fire
thing we
lane,
had
though.
for Ethereal was the Grogbark skin, the concept skin for Grognark. That's a joke that's been going around in the community forever, and I'm glad to see it's coming into fruition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Grogbark. I mean, the Grogbark concept art, the skin has been finished, so we actually do have the full skin that we might show at another time. But again, kind of wanted to show some of this work in progress stuff to the community and kind of get them along with the ride of Ethereal's development across the board.
100%. And I agree with Clorox. Ethereal being so far away from the Parazombies is the most exciting part about the game. And it's the most unique of them, right? Because it's not using any of the assets. I think the only thing that it did at one point was use epic assets for minions, and then after that they reworked those, and so there's literally nothing else connecting to the Parazombies. We just talk about it on this show a lot because we have Jelly Knees, and he can give us a lot more insight and talk about the game and stuff like that. And we have to poke and prod him, so let's be grateful to an extent, you know what I mean, for the stuff that he's been pushing the dev teams to allow him to talk about more, because, you know, a lot of devs, they want to keep things as hush-hush as they possibly can, and, you know, because, I don't know why, maybe because feedback sometimes is not always warranted or wanted, but yeah, so I'm just, again, more excited to see more stuff coming from these guys. I think that there's so much potential. It's a very small dev team trying to make a lot of these things work. It's a slow burn, but it's hopefully gonna make into like a badass steak one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Grootnark. Okay, you guys have anything else for Ethereal before we move on to Fault?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
All right.
I will throw out to chat though, guys. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. If we don't go over it right away, I'm copy pasting them into our little Google Docs. That way, we will get to it as long as it's an appropriate question. If it's not, we'll just ignore it. But so feel free to keep asking questions about any of the games that we're covering today, and we'll do our best at the end to answer any questions. Unless we catch it live, then we'll answer it right then. But please ask questions. That's why we do it live.
Right on. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, Jedi.
Of course. I care about you as a person.
Let's move on to Fault then. So Fault released just kind of out of nowhere, which is its own little topic. They released patch 18.0, which, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, we got Iggy and Scorch That's like the main part of the patch. Richter, that wasn't part of the patch, but Richter is back in the game. And then they added execute mechanics, which I never thought I would see them do, and changes to the minions' health bars. So I think probably the first and most exciting thing we should probably talk about is Iggy and Scorch. We all three got to get in there and test them out a little bit in the versus AI. Jelly, what did you think about Iggy and Scorch?
I think Iggy and Scorch is super fun. I think he's well put in together, well animated. Like the animations blend well for the most part. His abilities are fun to use. He's beyond powerful. But he's just super fun. He's for the most part, aside from some changes, he's what I remember Iggy and Scorch to be, right, from Paragon, right? Like it's just a fun turret-based hero that we can play, and I think it's super cool to see him in the game. I did send a message to you guys earlier that I think he's falling into fault where he fell into Paragon when he first released in Paragon, which was like this super strong out the gate, but then the second some other heroes got added, kind of fell off into obscurity.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see that happening here, but I think for the time being, he's going to be super, super fun.
Jedi, what'd you think of him?
Ah, dude, I mean, I love Iggy and Scorch. When we talk about, like, it's just, he's so, unlike the current release of him, I actually think he's very, very much viable in the current version of Fault. But back in the Paragon days, he kind of, to me, was like a meme goof pick, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't necessarily pick him to be, like, the, dominating, mid laner or off laner or whatever you were picking him into. Current version of him in Fault, I think he's very strong, and I think he can play in multiple roles. I think we all kind of experimented a little bit. I played him off lane, I played him mid lane, I played him as a carry, and his kit is very, very fun, very, very strong. They'll probably need to tune him down a little bit, I think, just to get him in line. I wish his turrets were a little bit faster. That's one thing I think. Either give him the option to scale his attack with his turrets, or make his attacks with the turrets a little bit faster. That's probably the only thing. Other than that, his E is broken. It's so strong. And I do agree though with what Jelly was saying. I think that there are very much opportunities to punish him. Like he's not a mobile champion, right? So he doesn't have any escape tools. He literally is like, if he's standing there and he's not paying attention, he could just die. He's squishy still. I think if you play him off lane, you can build him a little bit tankier, but you're going to obviously sacrifice a lot of damage to do so. I experimented with a few different builds, but really, honestly, just building him on hit and AP, or whatever they call their energy power. Just go energy power on hits. The on hit effects are actually pretty broken on him because your turrets also get to use the on hits. So the burn. I forget the item names, but
Eldritch Flame.
Flame.
Eldritch Flame is super strong. The one that slows people, that one's also really strong. I think he's great. He can solo he can solo some of the camps with his turrets, because their turrets are pretty tanky. They're slow, but they're tanky, and so you can 100% take like dragons or raptors by yourself. You could take, so there's maybe viability. We were joking with Jelly that he might want to try running it in the jungle. I think, Minkus, you tried it right against AI in the jungle. How did that go?
Super fast clear times, and
really
took 0 damage from the camps because the turrets took all the damage. So
who needs
That's
sustain
so
when
funny.
you just don't take damage,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, no big deal.
You don't need it.
And the turrets supposedly take increased damage from camps, right? Like that's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's the epic and large camps, right? Jungle monsters. So not if you go up against the small ones, they don't
Not
do
the
it.
mini
So-
ones. Yeah, but
so
red and blue.
blue, red buff, and then the main
Raptor and Prime.
raptor. Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick moment to answer some questions in chat. Skeletor X, Iggy and Scorch is now in Fault. Heimwitz, is it coming back on PS4 and any release date? Fault is released right now on PC, but I don't know about PS4. Probably PS5. All the games have plans for releasing on PS5, but I don't know about PS4. If I get any more of that information, I'll send it over to you. And like Clorox said, he can solo Prime, not mini Prime, regular Prime at level 14. So
Yeah.
it needs some tweaks. And his kit has changed a little bit. He doesn't have the oil slick anymore. His right click is now just a straight line fireball.
Love
and then his Molotov is just a big burst
Dude.
of AoE fire damage, and it is strong.
And it slows. and it's slow.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the strength of it if they
What's up,
reduce
Ike?
the radius.
Mhm.
Viking and I were talking about it before of like the fact that I can throw it down and get both ranged and melee minions all in one ability that burns them all and kills the entire wave is too much.
Yeah.
Right? The damage has to come down or the radius has to come down. It's one or the other. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. Pretty strong.
I think the biggest part of his kit that probably is going to need to be adjusted is his E. But I'm kind of torn though, because I feel like because he could be punished, like he's really not very tanky, right? So he can be punished by a hard engage, CC, all that fun stuff. So having that burn, like even especially like I had it happen a couple times where I was able to just throw down my E and my ultimate, and I got killed, but I was still able to add value and get maybe a kill or two afterwards. And I think that's, I don't know. I'm torn on how much they should fix him. I think it's just really going to come down to
We need
how
to
players
see
react to him.
Players react to him first.
Yeah, because I didn't play one against players. I just quickly did like I think 3 or 4 games against computers just to get a feel for his kit. Anybody play him in solo queue today? Are you guys feeling him or last night? How's he working in solo queue? I'd be curious what people who've been playing him feel like.
I think we should probably mention now too his ultimate. It's not the old ultimate. It's not the new ultimate.
Yeah.
It's a completely new ultimate where he puts down like a super
It's so
turret
good. It's so
that
good.
acts like his later Paragon ultimate where it just fires like a machine gun. But it's like it's kind of completely new. And then he has a passive too where he gains movement speed under turrets. That could be under his towers. That could be under his turrets that he lays down. And was it just me, or does that amplify the more turrets you're on? It seemed like I was fucking flying if I was on 3 of my own
It does
turrets.
seem like if you overlap them, and it might be a bug because I'm not sure that's intended. It did feel like if you overlapped your turrets, you were moving. It was
Interesting.
fantastic.
You're moving.
Big fan, don't fix it.
Interesting.
I mean, so a big thing with him though, right? His release, Iggy himself, great. Mastery race, not a thing apparently.
Yeah,
Despite them saying that was going to come back for Iggy and Scorch, like that was the oopsie daisy. I revealed it thing, and it didn't happen.
It's
thoughts, I guess?
It's
I don't
more of
know.
SMS getting in the way in their own way, like being the biggest obstacle for Fault is their own developer. They didn't hype Iggy and Scorch up at all. Just all of a sudden,
I was looking back at it, for every other character, we've gotten a video tease before they've come out, all the way back to Decker and Grimm, and Iggy just was kind of randomly like, and here he is, there we go, bye. Like, what the hell? That was so weird.
I know they're prepping for Gamescom, and they've got a lot of people in Germany right now for Gamescom, but this should have been planned well ahead of time.
Yeah.
And set up. Go ahead, Jedi. I see you.
Well, so the only thing I could think of is that they've just been, maybe they're getting more than just us, right? Is that they're getting a lot of flack from not having Iggy in the game in the first place. Like maybe there's more than just us saying stuff to them. And so they're like, you know what? Let's just put it out. Like they were going to wait and they were going to maybe do another thing, but they're like, fuck it. Let's just get it out there. And to be honest, this is my take. You guys can definitely disagree with me. Fuck it. I don't care about a fancy announcement. I don't give a shit about them taking their sweet ass time. They fucking did it. And they did it now rather than continuing to wait. Because they could have done it forever ago. And they should have done it forever ago. Because I told this to Mangoose. If Iggy came out on release of free-to-play, I probably still would have been playing Fault through the last few weeks since then. Because I just, especially with the version of his kit as it is now. Because that was fun to fucking play. To me, he's the most fun champion that I've played in Fault. I don't really care for almost any of the other champions. They're not fun to me. They're just serviceable. He's fucking fun, and I would want to play a fun champion. We went from playing this to go play some League of Legends, and I wanted to play Heimerdinger because I was just having so much fun with turrets. By the way, he's almost a copy and paste for Heimerdinger. That's okay, though. Again, same thing with what we said about Predecessor. I don't care. Copy what's good and make it good because it's still Iggy and Scorch feeling. It's not
make it function
one
in
for
a
one
third-person environment, yeah.
And it works, dude. His turrets are okay. I mean, again, I wish they were a little bit stronger, but the napalm thing is super cool. It looks good coming out. Like it shoots out and just like with his fire thing. And then I don't know. He's visually, he's amazing. He's fucking Iggy. Yeah. Let's go.
I think Red mentioned it right now, and he mentioned it like when we first started talking about Iggy and Scorch. Is they may have been pressured by everybody to release him now.
pressure is what is fine, right? But at the same time, pressure would have made sense a week ago. You are now 3 days out from Gamescom, and that's when you decide to release him, right? If that truly was your plan, which we've assumed it was going up to this point, right? That they were going to do something for Gamescom and then release Iggy and Scorch, right? But you're 3 days out, and then suddenly pressure overcomes, and you decide to release him anyway. That's why it's weird to me, right? Like at that point, you've got 3 days to hold your ground. Just hold your ground, do the fanfare, call it a day. The pressure reasoning makes way less sense to me with Gamescom that close.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's my only guess. Again, to me, I just don't care. At least he's out, and he was fun to play. I'm actually tempted to play him some more. I want to see what he's like in a PvP game because we didn't play one. The only reason actually I didn't play one today was because I was feeling that it would be contested. Like too many people would want to play him because he's new, and I wouldn't get an actual chance. And I don't want to play anyone else in PvP because so. But yeah, Skeletor, there will be a full release of the video. The VOD will be at the end once we're done being live, so you can always go back and watch what you missed about Predecessor. We did talk about some good stuff on Pred, though, so you'll want to watch that.
He looks good. I think his particle effects are especially good for Fault. Like he breathes, like Scorch breathes fireballs out, which are really neat to look at. And as I was experimenting with today, the Chinese New Year skin, the Never Go Full Chicken skin, as everybody's been calling it now, that one actually has, whenever instead of when you throw a Molotov cocktail, it's like firecrackers that come out. So that they actually have a little bit of uniqueness with the Tier 4 skins. I did not try his Android skin yet, but
And you said that one was in before? Or is that Epic?
That's an Epic asset, yeah.
It is? Okay, because I don't remember seeing that one. I'm not the expert, but that one was, I thought that was pretty cool, other than the Going Full Chicken. The Going Full Chicken is the meme skin for sure, but that other one, the metal one, or whatever it's called, looks really cool. I was impressed. Like I said, this having Iggy in the game makes me want to play Fault, because nobody else has it, and it was a lot of fucking fun to play. I just think that other people are going to want to play him, and I can't just pick my champion. So I just had, because their queue is still garbage. But
all right, do y'all have anything else with Iggy in particular, or are you ready to move on to some other Fault content?
I think we're good to move.
Yeah, I think so.
Richter is back. If you didn't know, Richter was removed for we don't know why. Just something about he broke the game somehow. Now he's back and apparently not breaking the game. Would love to know what the hell happened, but I'm just glad to see my boy back. Everybody knows he's my favorite hero in Fault.
Pappy can stop playing Kalari now.
I'm sure he's probably hooked. I bet Pappy's hooked on Kalari now. But anyway, yeah, it's good to see Richter back. Then the other major thing that came out with this patch was an execute mechanic on the minions, which I didn't think we would see this happen with them. There's been a lot of talk and debate about it, because Fault's a little more complicated and a little harder to pick up and learn than the other Paragon remakes, and so people were saying that maybe they need an execute mechanic to help out new players. Well, now they have an execute mechanic. Is it over 15%? Under 15%?
Yeah, 15%.
And that's actually
15.
indicated on the minion's health bar. There's an extra little dip in the bar that lets you know when they're getting close to that 15%. Me personally, I think if they would have just changed the health bars to the way they are now instead of that rounded health bar that they had before, I think people would have been okay. I'm fine with the execute mechanic. What I'm saying is I want this health bar to apply to everything now, because like taking red buff or anything else like that, especially if you're like playing Sevarog, it is so freaking hard with their health bars to tell how much health something has. Like, I don't know how many times I've missed a kill in a game because it looks like somebody is at a smidge of health. So I hit them with a basic attack and then go to walk away and they're still alive. I'm like, what the fuck? Because they have very deceptive health bars. I really like these health bars much, much better. But it's probably the execute mechanic I guess we should talk about. Jelly, what do you think about them adding an execute mechanic in default?
I'm mixed on it, right? It's one of those things of like, it's nice to have for new players. I think 15% is probably a tad high. I think you're going to see a lot faster wave clearing across the board because of that. And that's the other thing that is going to be interesting to watch is, do game times speed up or get longer because of this change? Because now everybody across the board executes at this threshold. right? Does what happens to the meta in that shift?
Right.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm mixed on it one way or the other, right? Because it's one of those things of I feel like it's a skill you should learn, but at the same time, I'm not mad at helping new players either. So it's one of those things. I don't know. Viking, what about you?
6 of one, half a dozen of another. Is that what you use?
Exactly. Sixes. Thank you, man.
Oh my god. I mean, so that's something I think I've probably talked about the most. That I think that all these games, because they're third person, and there's already a lot of, it's a steep learning curve just to get into these types of games. Everything's a skill shot. The verticality of everything, the size of the minions, you might misclick and hit the wrong one. All of those things. The new health bars just alone look way better, in my opinion. I agree with Mangoose on that. Like, I wish these were just universally across the board now for all the NPCs. Actually, and players too, actually. I was going to say all the NPCs, but players too. It looks better. It's easier to understand what's going on. I feel more involved, and it's not like it's so much visual clutter. Like, I mean, people can see your video right now. It's not like it takes up so much space on there that it's like, oh, I don't know. No, it's fine. Who gives a shit? Like, just put it for everybody. Anybody who's listening from SMS, put it for fucking everybody. Just change it for everyone. As far as the execute, I personally am a fan of it. I think that while you never want to lose skill expression, I think farming minions is not necessarily of the highest caliber for skill expression. I do think it's still skill expressive, because even with the thing, I was still missing minions. And I'm not like the best farmer in the game in general. And so if I'm a new player going up against somebody who's a little bit more experienced, they're still going to win the farm game probably more times than I will. But I'll have a chance. I'll have, and if it gives me also a learning moment to say, oh, so like that's when I really need to be trying to hit. And it gives you that little bit of confidence that you can actually compete.
It condenses the wide area of the skill gap, right? From what was low to high before, now they're both brought in a little bit to make that threshold more acceptable.
And I don't think that's game breaking for people who are higher skilled. Like, if you're higher skilled, you're still going to be able to quote unquote outplay your opponents. You can maybe set the wave up better than they are because they're just focusing on last hitting. You might be able to wave clear a little bit smarter than them. Like, so to me, like, of the things to make new player friendly, this is the best one, because it gives them an opportunity, because the game doesn't really start until like minute 5 to 10 anyway. Most of the time, unless you're in like a really volatile matchup, you're just PvEing, you're just farming and trading every once in a while. So making that part a little bit more enjoyable, it's like a mini game, right? And if you're playing that mini game, you're entertained, you're focused on what you're doing, and I think that that's valuable especially for new players. The only thing I would say to maybe appease some of the more hardcore gamers like you guys is that there's a timer on it. So after like maybe 10 minutes, that little execute thing goes away. I don't know how they would code that in or whatever, or maybe it's part of the item. So when the item is at its lowest base form, it still does the execute, but when it evolves and you get the additional stats and all that stuff, you no longer get the execute. I think that there's something to be said about that, maybe, and maybe that'll help ease the concerns, but I don't know if that would matter at all. That's just a thought I had.
And that to me is where that solution could be done better, at least from my perspective.
Sure.
Is you make it an itemization choice, right? And Paragon had an item that would execute minions back in the day, and I think that's partly where I pull this from.
Sure.
But make it an itemization choice that you get, if you buy execution item, right, at 15%, you execute minions, no problem, but the stats aren't as good, right? That's the benefit you get out of that thing. But if you're super confident about your last hitting ability, right, you pick a different item that gives you slightly more stats, but you don't get the guaranteed executes, right? So then you have the give and trade of, and it incentivizes weaning people off of that crutch, right? Getting somebody to then use the full item instead, right? But and it's a balancing act of making sure that both items feel worthwhile. But I think, for instance, like Doran's Blade and Cull in League of Legends strike that balance decently well. That one of them gives you a different kind of advantage than the other, and that's okay. Depending on what you want, what you're looking for, those are both valuable.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the solution should come, rather than just a flat across the board, everybody gets this thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Personally, I really don't care that much about the execute mechanic. I just really like the new health bars. That's
I do too.
Kind of sums up my opinions.
Bars
on the whole
themselves
thing.
are great.
I have actually one thing that I want to add into this because you didn't put it on there, but I noticed it because I didn't read the patch notes and I just jumped into game, and Jelly was making fun of me for it. They added auto buy for your items and for your oh my gosh, what are the passives?
Favor?
The favor points. Huge fan. Huge fan. No, auto buy. It literally, like, you have it set up. So for those of you in chat who don't know and didn't read the patch notes like I didn't, you can go in and you can turn it on or off. It's automatically on, though. So if you jump in the game, you're going to get auto buy. But I think for new players in particular, like, I turned it off after the first game because I was like, oh, wait, I want to do a whole different item scheme than what they're trying to have me do. But I left on the favor. Do you know why? Because sometimes I'm so focused on doing stuff, I forget to put on my fucking favor. And I'll have, like, 4 or 5 stacks of favor that would have been beneficial in whatever situation I was in, and I didn't have it. So, big fan of the favor. Big fan of the suggested auto buy idea that you can toggle on or off. But for new players, having that, like, you literally, if you have enough gold, it'll buy the item in that tree set. Super, super cool. I hope that they someday add in your own item sheets so you can have the auto buy set up for what you want to buy. But for now, I'm a fan of that. So that was something that I was surprised that they added in, and I liked it a lot personally.
I thought it was already there, but
I completely agree that I think both of those are great. The one thing I would ask them to change for auto buy, and it's because that's what Predecessor showed me is possible, is disable auto buy in the item shop. Don't make me go into the settings to disable auto buy.
Sure.
But I love the automatic favor because that, to me, that's the thing. When I'm in fights around Raptor Pit or Prime Pit, right, and my team gets it and gets those immediate favor points, those points can make the difference.
Absolutely.
And so having to, like, mid-fight try and apply my favor points always feels terrible.
Yeah.
So having it just be automatic from then on means that I'm getting that benefit, but don't have to, like, flex my fingers to try and move cast abilities and press the button all at the same time. It's terrible. But yeah,
true.
that change for me is way bigger than the item one, honestly.
And it auto levels up the one that you pick first. So when you're loading into the game, it is the first slot. Now, obviously, if you go with the same colors, it won't matter because they just both level up at the same time. But if you're a weirdo who likes to split the colors, then it will level the one that you pick first.
He says that like it's not really common to split colors.
You're a weirdo if you split the colors. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Basically, the only people that don't split colors are the casters. Everybody else, and even then, casters sometimes.
Yeah,
but
even carries a lot of times will go purple and red. Like,
yep, you guys are weird.
All right. All right, real quick, I want to hit this question because my eyes lit up when I saw it. Ike asks, or IKE asks, India Kilo Echo, I have been wondering, do you guys think Emmerich should be reintroduced into the game? 100,000 fucking percent yes. That was one of my absolute favorite cards in old Paragon, which was Awaken the Emmerich, which would allow you to change your opponent's minion wave into your minion wave. And oh my god, I love that shit, especially on Richter, because I would walk into the middle of their minions, pull them in, and then hit Awaken the Emmerich, and all of a sudden they're trapped inside a bunch of fucking minions.
No.
All right.
Let's not bring that back. No.
Oh,
I think bring it back.
No.
Bring it back.
No.
And I would use it on Crunch because it always made me.
Okay, you know what?
Crunch was like the god of the minions, and being able to turn them on Crunch. That's the best.
Okay. You bring it back, but bring it back as an item, and it's on like a huge cooldown.
Yeah, that's what
then
it was.
I'm a fan.
Oh yeah.
It was a card.
It was a card, right? It was a card, but we don't have cards in these games, okay, old man? We don't have cards in these newfangled video games, okay? Nobody wants those things back. Well, actually, probably a lot of people do. I think some people really, really love the card system. I fucking hated it. I hated it. I was so happy. I didn't play crazy amounts of Paragon, but when they moved away from the card system, I was stoked because I hated those fucking card systems. So stupid. It was the same thing with League of Legends when you had the old rune pages. I hated those fucking rune pages. Hated it. Anyway, but yeah, so make it an item. Who gives a shit?
All right.
That's fun.
Are we done talking about Fault? You guys got anything else you want to talk about Fault before we move into Overprime?
Yeah, time to get into the next hour of the show.
Seriously.
And
I guess that signals it. We're going to move into Overprime. Whew, lots of updates for Overprime. They released this Chimera video. Which
Wait. Wait. Sorry. I just want to say one last thing about Fault. It just hit me.
No, you
I
already
want
missed.
to. No, I'm doing it anyway. I want to say, because if there's anybody who's a huge Fault fan, or even if SMS happens to be watching this, I'm a fan of these changes. I think this is really, really good for your game. I'm excited to see how more players can interact with this kind of system. Good fucking job, because we've been giving them a hard time. They announced it weird. I don't care about the announcement weird. They can work on that, or hopefully they work on that. Outside of that, this patch with all the stuff that they added into it feels good. Really exciting for the game, and I just wanted to say that. So you guys, you can go back onto Overprime, but I just wanted to make sure we give the credit where it's due, because it is fun to play. And if you haven't logged into it, log in, play the game. It's fun. It felt fun. At least Iggy did.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, I had to say it.
I would like the jury to disregard everything that he just said, because
Yep,
he said it
100%.
after I had switched over to Overprime. So. Okay,
Fair
so
enough.
this new Chimera vid it showed we already got a little bit of a taste of it. This showed the full gameplay of Jon Snow playing Chimera, giving, what did I say, -3 shits, and just going for it, just full
Dude,
send into it every time.
seriously.
But
He was acting like
anyway,
a Greystone player and holding the W key down and then pressing right click occasionally. Like it's
the
just
occasional right
insane.
click.
I think he's just watched Jelly Knee's gameplay before. Just go in all times, do damage all times, kill everything at all times.
Get out with this much health
Yeah,
consistently.
if I die, it was because you guys didn't follow up on me hitting buttons to go in. Yeah, no.
I
it's-
don't know what personal issues he has with Blue, whoever the hell Blue is.
Dude.
But Blue was the player on
Dude.
Faye in mid lane.
One, right? This clip that they just got to see it, that's going through right now. It's literally the whole thing of them. He just shits on that guy over and over again. It's
The
great.
Blue
entire
flashes,
game.
he still jumps. Flashes
he
again,
flashes
still jumps
and
after him.
jumps,
Like,
yeah.
oh
The
my
amount he
God.
jumps-
Oh, you're
he's
under
getting
your
by that. I know
tower?
we're
I'm
gonna get-
coming.
I know we're gonna go into like some of the kit that we got to see and stuff like that, but dude, the amount of right clicks that he's getting off is just absolutely nuts. They are
Oh,
taking the idea that we talked about with Overprime being so different than, even though they're using epic assets, this is not a normal quote unquote MOBA that we've gotten accustomed to. This is go big, go home, fucking balls to the wall at all times, and it's exciting to watch. I don't know how exciting it is to play against. If I was that Faye, I would be fucking tilted.
dude.
I would be so mad. I would, but if you're Kai, you're probably loving life and saying, I don't want to play any
okay.
other game but this game.
Let's let it be known, this is Jon Snow playing
Yeah.
Chimera.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is a much better than average player, and it may not look like he's doing anything different than you would do, but I guarantee he is doing something
is.
different than the
Yeah.
rest of us would do. Like, I think, of course, yeah, that's obvious, but he's probably got some fucking crazy shit going in his head that all that stuff was calculated. But anyway, some of the other new shit that we could see, there's a lot of stuff in this video if you really break it down and look at it hardcore. So new characters, to start with, they showed off both Gadget and Sereth. Sereth was playing the off lane, Gadget was in the mid lane, both on the Chimera's team, and we have not seen those before. We saw like a whole plethora of new heroes in the Overprime for the record that they had the last time, but yeah, I think Sereth is a great addition. Gadget, I like Gadget, but she's kind of like, they already have mid laners that kind of fill that role. But I will say her basic attacks looked fucking amazing. Like, like it's usually like in every other game, it's like a splash of electricity when it hits, but it's just the basic blue bolt just that everybody else has. This is like an actual channeled lightning bolt that comes from her hand into the target, and it looks
So cool.
so good.
I mean, so I do have one thing to say about Sereth being added to the game. It means that Overprime is officially a dead game that I will never be playing ever again, because I hate that character with such a burning passion that I can't stand that she's added to the game already.
What, you hate playing against her or playing as her?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No. It's 100% the my Sereth versus their Sereth complex, right? My Sereth will int 0 and 30 throughout a game. Their Sereth will be 40 and 0 by 5 minutes. Like, it's just insane. I do not want to deal with it anymore. Get me out, please.
Sereth is the very definition of a high skill cap hero. You have to have...
Oh, God.
If you are good with Sereth, you can dodge so much stuff and get away with so much craziness. I'm happy to see her. I don't care what
No,
you
fuck
say,
her.
Jelly.
Get her out of here, dude. I don't want to play this game anymore.
I was so happy to see Seraph.
Watch me, now that I say that, watch me become a Seraph main after all of this is said and done.
You will, because she makes a good jungler. You are a jungle boy.
Oh my god. So Odo brings something up, actually. Kai leaped to jungle minions, and he can leap to lane minions as well. And that's a huge change.
That gives him an escape when he usually wouldn't have one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I do actually want to talk about his leap, or just movement abilities in general in Overprime. When we first played Overprime, that test in like January, their camera movement of like things dashing and then the camera catching up was really weird to me. Right? That I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. The more I think about it, the more it's a really cool style choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and it's consistent, right? Kai does the same thing. He leaps and then the camera catches up with him. And it may be weird, 100%, but the style, like the feel of it, I think is really, really cool. Right? That gives you that feeling of the dash a lot more than just following the camera at the same time does. And that's a really cool idea.
I agree. It gives you that like rush, like that, like you really feel like you're zooming into it. Yeah, no, it's nuts.
It seems that they've taken quite a few. They've taken quite a bit from fighting games, it seems, and have put it into, because we've got the hit stop animations, we've got that zoom in, which seems like a very fighting game sort of thing. I like it. Like, yeah, I think it looks cool too. Sometimes it, like you said, it's a little disorienting, especially with somebody with like Shimby who has an especially long dash. It can be hard to tell where the hell you are when you want to reignite that dash.
Yeah.
I'm you guys played a lot more than me, especially Jelly's probably played more Chimera than both of us. But does his, I mean, I think it's his Q, right? The whatever his speed up is that does his attack, does it look faster on this than it does in Paragon, or not Paragon? Well, I guess Paragon too, but in Fault, or like, because it's, I don't know. I'm rewatching the video again, and it looks like he's just like it just.
It depends on what the ability itself is. So, for instance, in Fault, I believe it's just an attack speed stim. But in like Predecessor, it's max attack speed for 4 attacks or something, or 3 attacks or something like that, right? So it'll depend on what they've decided to do for the ability, but it could be entirely possible that they did the same route of you just go bam, bam, bam really fast and then are back to regular attack speed.
Yeah, maybe. Bearded asked a, I think, really good question. Does the game look less brawly to you guys when watching this gameplay? Yes, I think 100%. It does.
Yeah, without having all your abilities leveled up from the beginning, it does look a little less brawly.
I will say, this game, the gameplay they showed us was a stomp. It was like 27-6 when the game ended, and it still took them 20 minutes. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out in terms of game times when it's more closely matched.
Yeah.
It also, to me, says that the new characters are broken, like Sereth, so maybe you should just remove them, because clearly she's the problem, and if that is fine, no big deal.
We're keeping Sereth.
I think it's fine. Just take her out.
I don't even play Sereth, and I want Sereth.
I do think that they accomplished their goal, at least from what watching this video, of slowing down the game at least early. I mean, you wouldn't notice it by Jon Snow because he's just still playing like he has he's still playing like he has all of his abilities unlocked, even though he doesn't. I mean, at this point where we're in the video, he's definitely got a lot of them. But yeah, the other thing that got me really excited, and I think it's moving into the next thing here, is the amount of items. When he opened up the items store, bro, we couldn't see the item art, which made me sad, but it was like huge page. And I know they said that they were adding a bunch, but it was like cool to see, and it bothered me that he knew which ones to click, because he's just like, oh, it's this one, and click, and then and I'm like, what item is that? And he just has it now.
None of the descriptions were in, so it's not even like he could click on the item and we could read the thing. No. It was purely empty. Drove me nuts, dude.
Yeah, no, I it was really exciting to see from that perspective, man. I got really excited when I saw all the items because I'm a nerd. Still not a fan of the grass along the walls. I just don't think it looks that good. It doesn't match the rest of it.
I preferred the purple grass. Honestly, the more I look at this blue weird grass, I'm like, I would prefer the old one, but all right, no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, this
something I did see
may not even be the final
comment
iteration of the map, but go ahead.
That's true. Something I did see a comment on, though, is that, and I completely agree because it wasn't this way in the tests either. If you're shooting from the brush, there probably should be some kind of revealed effect on you, because those visual effects, especially with a tall brush, can get lost that you're firing from the brush. And I bet that people are going to look around and be like, where am I getting shot from? And then die before they realize it's coming out of a bush.
I think it should reveal you all the way. When you fire out of it, it should do what it's done in almost every other MOBA. Like if you're firing out of a bush, your whole self becomes available to be seen and then disappears again. I just think I mean, because even in the playtest, that was annoying. Like you could have somebody just sitting in the bush, you have no idea where they are, and it's so hard to walk up and get vision sometimes in this game because it's the kill is it's so fast, depending on who's sitting in those bushes. So. Yeah, I don't know. I want to talk about Clorox though. He said that he thinks the new map looks really good, and I do think the map looks really good, but I think it's a little too dark. I kind of wish that there were some parts that were a little bit more, I don't know, along the structures themselves that had a little bit more like that. Like there's, I don't know, there's like little orbs on pillars and stuff. I kind of wish those had a little bit more life to them. I think they went almost a little too much ruins and not enough life still in those ruins, and so that would be one thing. And like the shadows covering half sometimes of the lane look really dark in comparison to the light side, so it's a little off-putting for me personally. What did you guys think about looking at the map and running around?
I think it does look a lot less interesting, but I think it also looks less cluttered.
True.
I think if they could just add a bit more foliage to the actual walls themselves, I think that would be great. I enjoyed the paths that they put in the jungle, like very clearly defined pathways, but I would like to see a little more color on those walls. As I think somebody said it best in their Discord. They said it looks a little desaturated now, compared to what it used to look like.
And part of the thing I loved about Legacy, just even back in Paragon days, was like the plant life and how it felt like it was alive, right? And this doesn't feel that same way anymore. And I think if they could bring over, I think honestly the plants that I think of all the time are those purple flowers, right? When I think of Legacy, those purple flowers come to mind, and that's kind of, I feel like, is missing, like the bright, even just occasional color right here on the map. It just feels very beige and brown and desaturated throughout a lot of it. But that's honestly a relatively easy fix for the new map. The layout itself, I think, is super great. Maybe aside from the portals, but that'll be a whole other topic.
Yeah. Like we said, we're going to be on Overprime for a while tonight because there was a lot in this video.
Yep.
Let's talk about another thing, too. There were way more fog walls in this video than I expected them to have added. There were lots of fog walls. Like I thought they were going to add like a couple, like maybe on the side lanes. But no, you had them in mid lane. You had them everywhere. So... And vision is going to be way more important than it was in the last couple of tests.
Yeah, and for how open the sides of the jungle are, it makes sense, right? Yeah. Like that's theoretically, I wasn't paying attention enough in the video, but based on what I remember, you theoretically could look at red buff from mid lane if that fog wall wasn't there, and so having that fog wall to deter that and have it be a drop off afterwards helps keep that separated and from you gaining a vision advantage just because you can see that far.
Yeah, the fog walls were fine for me. I think that with the aim of slowing down the jungler, which again, for those of you just joining us, watching the video that we're seeing now is not a normal indication of that. Because Jon Snow is insane, and he's just gonna stomp on everybody. And I also this again is on their build, and they're probably not going full optimization, and John's just running around getting to show off what Chimera can do. The other guys might be doing their own unique things that they're testing and all that stuff. So this is not a reflection on the actual gameplay so much as just showing off what Chimera can do in the map and all that stuff. But with those side walls, I do think that that could theoretically slow down some of the aggression from jungle, and again give the opportunity for laners not named Blue to be able to actually lane for a little bit, because I think that was a big deal in the Overprime test, was that if you had a really aggressive jungler like Jelly Knees, you just didn't get to play the game, and because the game would be over in 10 minutes and you would have died 6 times, and there's just nothing you could do about it because it was really hard to create pockets of vision consistently. And now with denying a visual vision, even without a ward, I think it kind of accomplishes that goal. But you also now have to be more proactive with your wards, which people tend to struggle with in MOBAs anyway. So I'm kind of torn, So
that's, I think, a perfect transition into these new portals, though. Because great, now you need to take more and less priority as a jungler or as a laner, right? To keep an eye on the jungle to see where they are, because 100% in the old tests, I could zip circles around people in that convoluted jungle, come up right behind them, kill them anyway, and then take off again through my zigzags. No big deal, right? I cannot do this on this map, at least not that effectively, right? So having the vision go out and about would be super useful. That being said, though, they've added 2 more portals to the map, and they've moved the outer portals inner closer to the lanes themselves. And granted, this is a test map, so that may be in flux or changing or anything like that.
Sure.
But those are big changes. What, putting them closer to the outer lanes, that was honestly the only thing that kept me from getting kills a couple times, was the distance of that portal comparatively to the actual lane itself. That I had to run all the way over there and hope they were still ready for me to come kill by the time I made it into the lane. Now it's like, okay, I do a 90-degree turn and bam, I'm in the lane already. Here we go. For those outer ones. For the inner ones, it's a direct, or at least what we think it is a direct portal from the Prime Spirit pit to the Orb Prime pit. And that's terrifying for a plethora of reasons. As a jungler, I can now circumvent walking across mid lane entirely. I just take that portal across, bam, now you don't know which side I'm on, and there's no indicator one way or the other. And then
Bam.
From a team perspective, being able to go from Prime Spirit to Orb Prime is kind of nuts as well. And I wonder how that functions with the Prime Dunk mechanic as well. Because if you have Orb and you can just you can go straight across, now you've cut off a whole section of the map you don't have to travel against anymore. And that could completely shift how that plays out too. There's a lot in this video about the portals that I'm really curious and anxious about.
I'm kind of hoping that doesn't make it live. I don't really mind the portals on the side lanes, but the portals through mid lane, that's a little spooky.
That's a lot.
That's a little spooky.
That honestly almost buffs junglers as much as taking away 2 levels nerfs them. Like that's honestly insane to give junglers the ability to path through mid without having to path through mid.
Yeah. The thing that was interesting about that though is like, and again, this is so much speculation, right? We're taking big guesses, but it's fun to do. It disappears off the map after a moment. Like, so I don't know if it's something that's activated somehow or what, but so that could play into it to kind of keep in the I guess without it being too overpowered, is that there's something you have to do to be able to turn it on. And I also would then wonder, is that something that visually everybody is aware of, right? Because it shows up on the map all of a sudden. Now, hey, those, portals are up. Don't be a dum-dum, like you gotta be aware of it. And so, yeah,
Watching
I don't know.
This video, it seems random. But because like I told you guys earlier, it spawns, the portals show up on the map and look active at like 11 minutes and 2 seconds, which is an arbitrary time. Nothing else spawns on the map. Nothing goes down on the map. Nothing, whatever. That's an arbitrary time. That's very strange.
Yeah, it is.
So
weird.
I'm sure it's going to be very interesting to see how that works. Cosmos just pointed out that they said the portals have 1 charge. And in the video, we do see that when he is looking at Prime Spirit Pit, it says 0 timer. The timer is a 0, but there is 1 charge of the portal. So it doesn't look like whole teams could take it across. But still, honestly, 1 person is all you need sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if I'm playing Chimera, my whole team's over at Orb Prime. I take Prime Spirit, portal straight across, and now I'm with my whole team, and we get both of them at the same time. Right? That advantage is massive in and of itself.
Red brings up a good point too. It could be like whenever you kill a river buff, that the portal opens up or something like that, kind of like it does in Ethereal. Maybe they took a page out of Undying's book there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Let's see. So, there's a lot in this video.
There's so much.
Was there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about before we move on just a little bit? Start talking about some of the stuff that was updated on their Trello.
Chimera has a throw. I mean, that's kind of wild. I don't know if we talked about that.
A throw?
Doesn't he? It looks like he takes one of his axes and throws it.
No, that's a smite. That was a smite.
No, dude, I'm telling you, it looks like he's throwing his axe at somebody. I'm telling you. Watch the video.
You're on crack.
Am I on crack?
I've watched this video like 5 times. You're on crack.
I don't know, dude. It looks like he's throwing something. I'm telling you. Oh, well, whatever. It looked like it. Okay, whatever. We can move on to whatever you want while you guys look at it.
He's throwing shade at blue is what he's doing. God
dude,
damn.
well, that guy just doesn't get to play the game. See, he just did it right there. Well, yeah. I'm telling you.
I think you're seeing
I
things.
think you're on crack, dude. I'm pretty sure you're on crack.
I'm gonna
Get that AC fixed because the fucking heat.
Oh, it's so hot, dude. It's like literally, it's like 80 degrees in our house right now. I think the maintenance guy was in here just a little bit ago, and I think that there's something big wrong with the AC, and so we're not getting it fixed anytime soon. So that's gonna be a bummer. And it's supposed to be hotter over the next few days, so super fun. I'm telling you, it looks like he's throwing stuff. I'm telling you.
I'll teach
Chat, do you guys see it? Do you see him throwing stuff? Does it look like he's throwing an axe? Tell me.
It was a drive-by fruiting, you know? It's just one of those things.
Whatever.
But Viking, you just go buy the stuff that I listed to you earlier, and I'll walk you through the steps of making your own evap cooler.
You got it. We'll get on that after this.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that changed on their Trello. Big shout out again to Overprime for having a Trello, for having a public record that we can track and see everything that they're doing. So much great transparency here. So new NPC animations. I'm assuming that means the jungle monsters and like Prime and stuff like that. So, and this is all stuff that's been moved to fixed in next patch. So this is stuff that should be live whenever we get the game into our hands. Attack speed blend in and out animations. So I guess it will just look better as we were talking about Chimera, hitting his Q and getting that attack speed. It should look a little bit better. And new hero skill designs. Now, do you think that this is Overprime's new heroes, or new skill designs for heroes, or just the same skills but new like particle effects for visual effects? Like, what is this?
I think I have the answer for you, Mangoose, and it's not nearly that exciting. Looking at the video, Chimera has no ability art. All of his ability art is the same thing, or his basic attack is a gun. They are the new hero skill designs, right? Like it's the words need to be a little more spread apart on there.
Dude, we shouldn't have let him talk first. You and I should have gotten like an opportunity to guess at what we thought like might be fun and cool. And instead he's coming in here with like his logic and understanding of how things are done in the back end, and it's now ruining this whole I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Let's talk about something else.
Then don't.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. They could use a comma. They could put a comma in there somewhere.
Oh, now we're going to talk about their grammar. They're translating it from Korean to English for you. What do you want?
New hero skill design. No, I'm talking about putting my own commas in there to make it whatever I want it to be.
Oh God.
Okay. And
anyway,
hey, additional portals. Oh no, you wrote that in, Jelly.
Yeah. I wrote those in.
Okay, so that was it for the Trello updates. So I don't know. Again, like the biggest changes, I guess, were this was the first time we really got a really good look at their map. We did see a lot of the newer heroes, like the Fae, even though she got her ass kicked in the mid lane. Gadget.
Or Blue.
Wraith was playing support for Jon Snow's team. He was supporting the Murdoch, which was pretty cool to see. This is obviously just a test phase thing, because every time in the kill feed, it didn't matter who killed who. It was always Murdoch killed that person. So,
I did not see, however, with Wraith there, I did not see any team-wide invisibility. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that may be a personal invisibility like Kalari, and his ultimate's something cooler. But we'll have to wait and see.
I do have watching the video again, and you guys can give me your insight. Does it look like they did tone down a little bit some of the effects on because it doesn't look as cluttered. So you still get the visuals that something is happening on the screen, like, you know, when he went to gank and mid again, there was a lot going on, but it wasn't so overbearing that I lost track. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes when big team fights would break out when we were playing in the playtest, it was difficult to track everything that had taken place. It does look like there's a little bit, maybe I'm crazy, but a little bit more clarity, and maybe it's just in this unique test that we're seeing it, but it did look like it wasn't as dramatic in some aspects, like it wasn't as over the top. And I know that's something that we talked about before, that it can be a bit overbearing with all the visuals that are taking place from the abilities, but maybe it's just because he's playing Chimera and they're not as flashy looking as some of the other ones, because we don't see like Gideon, for example, who has like a lot of flashy abilities.
I think some of it too is a little bit of a desaturation of the map, so you don't have bright on bright.
Maybe that's a good point. And maybe
and most of the characters that are there don't have the biggest flashiest abilities, right? The ones we see the most are Gadget, Kai, Faye, and Rampage. right?
Mhm.
3 of those are low to the ground or a rock, not
Sure.
flash particle effects, right?
Yeah.
So, it could be, but it's until we get our hands on it, it's hard to say with absolute certainty.
They
Jay,
should just let us get our hands on it.
yeah, they should.
I agree.
Early access. Let's go. Let's go. Jay, you think I wouldn't talk about Seraph? Come on, Jay.
Yeah.
No, we didn't talk about Seraph. She got removed.
Oh God.
Jelly. All right, I think that's about all we're going to talk about today for the Overprime map. One last subject I want to talk about. I'm going to link this in the. This is something. What are you laughing at? I missed it.
No.
I think it's going to be what you're talking about, baby.
I think it's the same thing. He's giggling because of
The
what
tunes?
happened. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so Jelly found this today. I had no idea that these have existed for a while. They're Overprime webtoons, and I just put the link in the chat if you want to check them out. They're fan-fucking-tastic. When Jelly told me that they had webtoons, I was like, oh god, this is going to be so cringe. They are informative, fucking adorable, and actually funny, like actually made me laugh out loud. Like,
Yes.
they are amazing. Maybe not the best English, of course, because it's like Korean to English translation, but holy fuck are they... This is like the best idea ever. It's like... And it's not
100%.
like they're just doing like a funny little comic strip. It's informative. Like they tell you, the first one tells you like how Overprime came about, like why Paragon shut down and then releasing the assets, which had like the cutest fucking picture ever of Epic in a like a big head that says Epic in a business suit, holding a box with FaZe peeking her little head out. Like, oh my
Dude,
god.
oh, they're so good. They're so good because and the second one acts as like a tutorial, right? Like kill Tions, press shift to go fast.
Yeah.
Right? Collect gold, spend your money on things, right? Like it's just such a cool idea. It's just it's fantastic.
I just think it's adorable. So my favorite one is it looks like I think a dragon eating a steak or something like that with a chef hat on, and it says "Good game, give it a go."
Yeah, that's the kind of the name. That's the kind of the name of their series. Like that's at the end of all of them. Good game, give it a go.
Yeah, but it's just so cute.
Oh,
I don't know,
so
man.
good. It's so good.
All the
Narbash
animations
like
of the characters.
chomping on
yeah.
a minion, but then it's telling you in the background like whenever you kill a minion, you get gold because there's like gold popping up as he's chewing on the. Oh, they're so fucking.
Or him
good.
throwing his thunk and you see the mace collide with the person's head.
Countess, like
Brilliant, dude! It's so good.
yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty funny.
They never cease to fucking stop impressing me with the different things they come up with. Like this is perfect for new players. Just like,
Sure.
like it's fun to read. Like it catches your eye, and then like it does it. Like it teaches you like, hey, if if you like tanks, then maybe Sevrog's your guy, or if you want to be a more supporty type person, this is your guy. And then like after you pick what type of hero you want to be, then you need to pick your lane, and it tells you what lanes go where, who's supposed to be best for each lane. Oh, it's just very good all around.
I agree.
It's
I think
I
it's
love
cute.
the like talking about like unique heroes, right? And they look at Narbash and the next alien oak chief who plays a song that boosts the team with a huge drum on his belly. I want to play this. Like,
Yeah. And then the other person's like, okay,
yeah, seriously. Oh man.
I agree with Otto. I want a baby Shade plushie now. I think that's so this is something, and I think we've talked about this before with Overprime in particular. I think they can do a similar vibe as what Riot has been able to accomplish. Like, I could see Overprime with some of these concepts that they've come out and doing things a little bit beyond just making the game. Like they're adding in all this other stuff. They could have actual merch that people would want to buy. Right?
Mhm.
Like that's what's interesting and fun about this. Like I could see them taking inspiration from a webtoon and throwing it on a shirt. I'd probably buy some of those shirts right now because I think that they're cute and funny, and nobody else would know what it comes from, but I wouldn't care. Like it would just be something for me, and and it would be fine. And I think so for that, it's also really exciting, and I think it's hilarious that they've had these for however long, and we're just now learning about them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there
if I
is
had a-
shade. They moved it back, Bearded. Okay, so everybody's in their normal names now. So just relax there, bud.
Okay. I want a little Richter on my shelf back there, like a little
Yes.
Richter. plushie.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
Richter has to be
yeah.
out of the game. You know
I
what?
want a Countess.
Just for you, remove Seraph, Bring Richter in. Just for you, Mangoose.
But I can't even argue with that. But no, man,
Got
I
him.
like Sarah.
I got him,
I
guys.
like
Sarah's
Sarah.
out of the
Everybody
game.
knows
We're done.
if you gave me the choice between Richter or Sarah, I'm gonna take a Richter every time. But oh man, friend of mine used to play Sereth as a carry. Like nobody ever played Sereth as a carry, right? But he would play her as carry, and I would play Richter, and holy shit, would we fuck some people up? Because like that was her thing. She couldn't reach the enemy carry, but and then Richter makes it to where she can reach that enemy carry pretty easy.
I did see somebody mention in the comments that Sereth had the wrong mace on her base skin.
Oh, really?
Before she transformed, she had the devil mace instead. So that they needed to go in there and fix that because that's unacceptable.
You never know with them though. That might be a choice on their end. Like we don't know how they're going to.
It could have been a skin for all we know, right? Like it's one of those things.
I don't know.
I just want to know when we're going to play the game again.
Yeah, I know, right?
Please get rid of her.
I'm
who else?
dying laughing at these webtoons. They're so funny.
Did you send that to me, Jelly? It was I think it was a tweet or something, and somebody was asking when it was going to be on PS5, and Overprime responded with soon. So
soon. Yeah.
We know with Soul Leave, soon fucking means soon. Like any other game saying soon, it's like okay, 6 months from now, or maybe.
Where's the console win guy? Because we need him to hear this.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, that's. I sent you that or the reply to that tweet, thinking to me that is a big thing for them to say, and it implies to me that when they go early access, they're dropping console early access at the same time.
I mean, I remember them saying that before, that they were going to drop console with early access. And then when they said that they were, but I hadn't heard that again, and I've heard them talk about early access this year. I've been thinking in the back of my head, but I just didn't want to get anybody's hopes up that console would be this year. You know what I mean?
I mean, how long has it been since we saw that console test? Like 8 months, 6 months?
Yeah, it looked like it was playing well.
Yeah, and so that's, I mean, if it's been truly 8 months since then, I'm trying to find the video now quickly. That's insane, just by itself.
Your camera pooped out again.
Jelly,
it did.
What is up with your camera, Jelly?
So while he looks that up, the webtoon right now, my favorite one is the image of Muriel and Rampage, and she goes, hee hee, you can't die. And then he goes, oh my, with his face going, like he looks like he's having a bit of a moment. You know what I mean? Dude, it's hilarious. Dude, the webtoon, guys, is so good. The Narbash is so funny. Uniqueness.
My favorite image is, I don't even fucking like FaZe, but her little head peeking out of that box. Oh,
bro.
So I actually don't see that clip anymore.
Funny.
On their YouTube.
Baby Gideon has
I lied. I'm blind. 10 months ago was that video of Feng Mao playing on their old map. So, I mean, easily the console port could be ready by now.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Des?
There you go. Medkit. Medkit's there to provide the
Yeah. I saw that one already. Oh, boy.
Oh, shit. Well, I think that about closes it out for all the games.
It does.
Let's turn it over to chat. If you guys got any questions at all, drop them in here for us right now, and we'll try and answer them if we can.
You know what I would love from Overprime next week? Right, they've given us gameplay footage of a Chimera. Great, absolutely fantastic. Give me a full item breakdown of all your new items, please, God, because that would be the thing for me that would send me over the edge, dude. I would kill for that. So
with that in mind, right, because I know we're both nerds about when it comes to items, what I want to, before early access, is them to release the API for it, so people can make websites with builds.
Yeah, I mean, people that exist in the world do exist that can make websites for things when they have public APIs available for their item system. I mean,
I wish I knew somebody who could do that.
I don't know anybody like that at all.
I'm just saying, wouldn't that be cool for people to be able to jump in there and mess around with item builds and, and see how they all work?
If that website was still online, this would be the perfect, like Ethereal.gg, right? No, it's gone. But the code still exists.
Yeah. When is Sarah getting added to Ethereal?
She's not.
She's
not going
to do a crossover.
I will fight Bearded. I'm going to go shave his beard off.
Ike says
that he's just going to be the Wolverine.
See more actives from Paragon. Ike did bring up Awaken the Emmerich earlier. Is that what you're talking about? Ike and stuff like that, because I wouldn't mind that. There were some cool actives in Paragon. Thorn Yomi was one of my favorites to counter Wukong. There are plenty.
I mean, okay, let's be real here. I'm upset that they're adding Seraph, but I'm glad they're not adding Wukong yet. As much as I want to see what they do, I'm good.
I think they should have Wukong. I think Wukong's a great character. I know that like he's like one of those like people. He's like either so broken and he's stupid and nobody likes him, or he's like super like basically just like another minion in lane and he sucks. But I just think the concept of Wukong is always fun.
100%.
Exbido says, do you all think instead of fog walls, they should just put in jungle fog?
Yeah, what do you mean by that, Expedo? Do you guys know what he's talking about? Because I don't quite understand
I think
that.
he's talking about just generic fog of war. So something that's different about Paragon comparatively to pretty much every other MOBA out there was Paragon did not have fog of war. Paragon had the fog walls or ways to cut off vision from using straight vision shots. And that's very different. So having fog of war instead would be that you could see toward red buff, but only this far, right? So that once you hit this point, everything is invisible effectively past that point. And Smite does that, League of Legends does that, Dota does that, right? All those kind of things. So I think it's a style choice. I personally prefer the ability to just always see as far as I can see. I think that provides a strategic element in competitive play, in that if my team says like, oh, I just saw Chimera zip across the end of mid lane, now I have an idea of where Chimera is. But at the same time, it is what it is, you know?
I think Sulthus was brought it up. She would like to see jungle vines, like a curtain of jungle vines instead of the fog walls. I think that would be really cool to see.
Which they kind of had on their old map, that on the dual lane, there was a drop through some vines.
Yeah. Their old map, yeah. Let's see, Medkit, question for you three. How would you three rank your personal list of these games? I think we did this last time, didn't we?
We did, but it's fun to talk about.
And it changes every time, too. Like, obviously, I'm going to go Overprime first now, then Pred, then Ethereal, and then Fault.
I think I would go Overprime, Predecessor, Ethereal, Fault. Although maybe Fault might be moving up because, dude, the game was fun to play today. But I think it still has the longest way to go, even though it's the one that's been out the longest. It's I still feel like it's somehow behind the curve, even though these games aren't out yet. The thing that bothers me, and this is unfortunate, I think, for SMS, is that anything that Fault does well, these other two IPs can just steal and make it their own, and it'll be just part of their game. And now it's like it's going to be difficult, I think, for SMS to just fully differentiate themselves, because the other guys get to watch them do something and then react accordingly. So, but that would be my list. I'd say Overprime first because it's just ridiculously fun and looks crazy. But yeah, Ethereal third, I think. Pred second.
Oh, here's a cool question. Do you all think we should have Harvesters back?
God, no. God, no.
I loved Harvesters. I really did, but I do not think they have a place currently in any of these games. If they were to be in any of the games, I think Fault could probably fit Harvesters in the easiest. Maybe Pred. Overprime, hell no. Definitely do not think Overprime should reinstall Harvesters.
Harvesters and Paragon were one of those things that conceptually, cool idea, in practice became a nuisance or a timer, right? Because when you got to the higher levels of play in Paragon, Harvesters were a rotation. You were there on the dot of it completing. You were there on the dot of it always, right? There was very little variation, and the junglers were really like held to a schedule on that, because it was go clear 2 camps, go gank. Okay, gank, whether the gank failed or not or was successful, now you have to hit a Harvester, right? Then go do a couple more things. Now you have to hit a Harvester. It was this constant, like, if you're not doing this, you're not putting your team ahead as the maximum potential. And it just felt terrible to have to be on that timer constantly. You're already on timers as a jungler. To add more of those basically just makes it like, okay, great. Now I go Harvester, Raptor, Prime, Harvester, gank. Harvester, Raptor, Prime. Like, it turned it into methodical nonsense. I hated Harvesters. I loved them, but I hated them at the same time.
It was a fun concept for real.
100%.
Yeah. like you said,
The concept versus execution.
I preferred the legacy harvesters over that gold globe thing harvester in Monolith 2. It was fun if you could infiltrate their jungle and take all their gold out of their harvester with the new way they had it, but I don't know, the old harvesters were just cool. It just pissed me off because as a support I would always have to get a key because the jungler never knew in my elo the jungler never knew that they were supposed to pick up a key to plant their harvesters. So
Yep.
I don't remember harvesters. Maybe I didn't play with them, but it sounds terrible.
That sounds Amberlink, a medkit.
Yep,
Thank
that's
you.
what it was called.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
All right. I think that's going to about close it out for tonight, though, fellas. Let's start rolling out our closing comments here. Viking Jedi, anything you want to say to the community before we roll out?
Hang on. No.
Uh-oh.
We have to promote a video that was part of the, not actually someone that was necessarily in the community regularly,
Okay.
but a video I did see online of someone talking about the 3 Paragon successors. They do briefly there's a 4th project that's in the winds, right? But they outright say it's not a Paragon successor, so they're not talking about it being Ethereal. But I'll post a link for you guys right now. That video, watch that. That was super well done breakdown of the successors at a high level, trying to really conceptualize each one and get it across to an audience. That was fantastic. So I highly recommend you guys go watch that video.
Is that the link?
By Intersect.
I don't see a link, by the way. It didn't show up for me in chat, but
Oh, because Mangoose is the only one that's allowed to post links.
oh, well, there you go.
Link in?
There we go.
It was Intersect, right?
Yep, by Intersect, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
And a relatively larger creator, but still cool to see them covering. I mean, that video came out July 1st. Still cool to see people talking about these games, even outside of our little niche community that everybody we all know each other kind of feel.
I don't know anybody. Des actually, I think, asks a super original and very important question that really needs to be talked about more often, and I feel like is not talked about enough. And it's like a coming of age question, and it really, really devastates me that more people don't talk about this. If you were a soup, what type of soup would you be?
It's almost like this really cool, fantastic streamer asked that question on his stream all the time.
No, it's an original idea. No,
okay.
Des is the first person to ever ask this question, and it's dynamic. It's
absolutely.
Ramen.
I mean, while everybody contemplates
answer,
that question at home of what soup they would also be, you guys have to then contemplate what is the attractiveness level of said soup. But I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole soapbox I could get on of attractiveness of soups. So
that would be Cheerios.
I will say that closing it out, my final thoughts this week.
Wait, is cereal a soup?
Let's not get into that.
We're not. Yeah, we're not getting into that. But fantastic to see all the updates from everybody. Good, bad, otherwise. Updates are great to see, and all those kind of things. I'm excited to see where Overprime goes. Ethereal, always cool stuff, as I would always say, But I'm excited for it all, and yeah.
Yeah, I just coming from somebody that has been tracking this shit for absolutely ever, it is so exciting to see the amount of major updates that we've been getting just over and over and over. I would have killed for these kind of updates when I first started for the Minions. We were covering the smallest, simplest, stupidest shit as if it was huge news, and now here we are with what appears to be early access for all 3 games just right around the corner, and we have one that has been in early access for 2 fucking years. So this is an exciting time for all of us para-refugees, and then we have Ethereal out there being what it is, being super cool and having so much potential. That could be another game that we could all play together, and it's going to be a great time. So if you want to check out the Viking Jedi's Twitter, that will be linked in the video description below.
I didn't get to do my final thought. What the heck?
Didn't you?
No.
Well, I asked
your final thought was the soup.
You started talking about fucking
the soup. It was a question from the community that I felt was important to address.
This guy.
Okay, Jedi.
Jelly stole my thunder.
Talk about Predecessor when we switched over to Overprime and wanting to.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
I'm just saying, there's a direct correlation between us getting all of this new information and me joining FTM crew. I just feel like since I came on to FTM, we've had so much more to talk about. I don't know. Maybe I was asking the right questions, pushing the right buttons, and now things are happening. You guys are welcome. This is why I have the best beard, and I do the right things, and that's it. That's all. That's my final thought. But
there was definitely a moment that I almost clicked remove from group as he was right through that spiel that I was just gonna boop him from the call and just call it.
I just want to say that not everybo's willing to suck dick for updates, so thankfully we added somebody else to the crew.
Hey, I got a built-in ball tickler right here. It helps. It helps.
I'm gonna get tangled. All right. And if you want to check out Jelly Knees, I'll have his YouTube and Twitch linked in the video description below. I think I forgot to do that this week. I think I probably just carried over from the other one. I don't know. I'll take a look after this is all said and done. But appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate it if you're watching this in video format. But for now, this is the For the Minions crew signing off. You guys have a good one.
Follow me on Twitter.
Where's that?